Welcome back to Cocktails with Kate.
I'm Kate.
And I'm her mom. And today we're going to talk about what children do for entertainment. First, let's talk about our cocktail. I was just about to say that. I'm excited about this one. So I saw this online. I had never thought to put sorbet in Prosecco. So this is a
sorbet or is it sherbet?
It's sorbet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it says sorbet. Is there a difference?
I don't know.
Is sherbet just like the fake yellow and fake green lemon and lime?
I have no idea.
Well, this is raspberry sorbet.
I can't tell you the last time I had sherbet or sorbet.
This is raspberry sorbet because we're fancy around these parts.
Love that.
So it's like a little Prosecco float.
It's so cute.
I love the color.
Flavor.
Right.
It matches your shirt.
Right.
Oh, wait, it matches both of
There
our
you go.
shirts. We're both wearing that
and
pale
it's nice
pink.
and springy.
Oh my goodness, that's good.
That is good. My favorite cocktails are Prosecco based. Sparkling wines are my absolute favorite. I would take that over a liquor drink any day.
That's a good one.
All right, so entertainment for kids. So bringing it from a generational perspective, when I was a kid, as I'm sure all of the parents out there can relate to, we went outside and we didn't come back inside. We weren't allowed to come back inside. Came back inside when the streetlights came on. And if you weren't back inside when the streetlights came on, you were in trouble. If you heard your name being called down the street, you better book it home. And that was just how it was. We loved being outside. We loved to ride our bikes. I mean, we built forts. I can remember my cousin and I, there was a willow tree kind of across from where my grandmother lived, and we spent the majority of our time at our grandparents' house. We went to the elementary school where she lived, and then we would just stay there until our parents were done with work, and they would come get us. So we spent the majority of our time there, and she certainly did not want us in the house. But there was, across the street from her house, there was like a tennis court, and next to the tennis court, there were a couple of willow trees and like a big deep ravine. And we had forts. Sometimes the ravine was a moat and we were in a castle, and we just used our imaginations and we just had fun. And we spent time together. We knocked on neighbors' doors. We didn't have to call to see if they could come out and play first. We knocked on their doors and they came out if they were done with their homework and could come out. It was a different time. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Those times are gone, unfortunately. They're gone. So when you were a kid,
yeah, I remember we lived in a neighborhood, but I remember knocking on my friends' doors as well within the neighborhood. And, we all got off the same bus at the same time and went home to do our homework and everything. And then we all kind of finished up around the same time. And whoever didn't have to leave for extracurricular activities or sports or anything like that, we all played outside. We had a creek behind the house. We did a lot in the creek and just walking around the entire neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's where I was kind of going with your generation. My generation, we had extracurricular activities, but there wasn't a big emphasis. But when you were a kid, it was, if you weren't playing a sport, something was wrong.
Yep.
And
I think that still rings true.
You think so?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of extracurricular, and not necessarily sports, but like art class or music class or,
yeah.
I don't know, like just not necessarily soccer,
Yeah.
but also just activities that you do after school to hold your attention, to hold your time, and
Yeah.
have a different kind of friend group, I guess.
Yeah. And so you did cheerleading.
Yep.
And that was pretty much how you didn't play in the neighborhood a whole lot. You were too busy with school and cheerleading.
I did all-star cheerleading, so it was competitive, and I was at competitions. We had pep rallies. We had I can't think of the name of those exhibitions, competitions, exhibitions, pep rallies, practice.
Yeah, it was 3-4 nights a week.
And I crossed over, so I did 2 separate.
That's right.
So I had practices and competitions for 2 separate
teams
of
you were
different age groups when I was in between ages.
Right, because you were on the age group for your age, but then you flew on the higher age group. So I'd forgotten actually about that it was even more.
Yeah, because I would finish up a practice and then I would jump into another practice.
I've
and be
forgotten
their
about that.
and be their flyer in their stunt groups. And I had to learn all of their tumbling routines and everything because you can't just have, a random cheerleader just standing in the middle of the floor just because nobody was doing stunts. So I
Right.
had to still participate in all of the tumbling cycles and
Yeah. And still keep up with school. And you did, and it was fine, and you loved
I
cheerleading
did.
until you didn't.
Yeah.
And then you didn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Now, what was my rule?
I had to finish the season.
You had to finish the
I
season.
said that I wanted to quit for several seasons. I've always been a night person. I love to stay up late. This is still true. I love to stay up late. I can stay up until 3:00 in the morning with you. But if you ask me to get up at 6:00 in the morning, it's a no-go. I cannot. Even if I go to bed at 8, I cannot get up at 6:00 in the morning. It's not me. So when I was drug out of bed to have curlers put in my hair and yanked out of my scalp, I didn't like it. So
so that's why you would always say you wanted to quit.
I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. I loved practice because it was at night. I loved competitions because they were during the day and we got to go cool places. But I did not like getting drug out of my warm, comfy bed at 6:00 in the morning to
I didn't like
get
doing
ready.
it either. Just for the record, I didn't like it either because she's a grouch when she has to be woken up in the morning.
Still not changed.
And I didn't like it either. And I also didn't like that it was it was just always so stressful. Everything was on my shoulders. I had to make sure that your uniform was perfect, your hair was perfect, your makeup was perfect. We had to get you in the car at a certain amount of time. We had to get to the place by a certain amount of time. If it was an overnight competition, you always felt like, oh, I can just sleep in because we're at the hotel and I'm here. And I'm like, no, you have to get up. We have things to do. So it was stressful. It was stressful for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would just about every season you would quit. And I would always say, you wouldn't quit. You wouldn't quit.
I'd be like,
say
that's fun. Practice
wanted
is
to
great.
quit.
Great practice. We're done.
But then when it came to, and I would say, that's fine. You have committed to this team, to this routine for this season. When this season is done, then you can quit.
Yep.
And then she wouldn't.
Nope.
And then
I really did love it. I just did not like getting up.
And then
but I loved cheering.
And then the year came where, gosh, how old were you? Were you in high school yet? If not,
I was in middle school.
I was going to say you must have been in 8th grade then, because
I did it.
I remember thinking we're at scholarship territory now with as good as you were and how much you really did seem to be enjoying it. I thought, man, she's going to get a scholarship. This is great. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, you want to quit now? Like, for real, you want to quit now? Yeah, but when you wanted to quit, you quit, and you waited until the season was done and you quit.
Yep.
But I think that a lot of kids now are doing more than just one sport.
Oh yeah.
They're doing cheerleading, which I guess you've highlighted, which I had forgotten that you kind of essentially were, because you were doing twice the amount of cheerleading. Yeah, it was one sport, but you were doing it for two different teams. But yeah, I think that kids nowadays are just, well, I don't know. Kids nowadays, is it the same emphasis is being put on sports, but is it to the same extent, do you think, as when you were a kid?
What do you mean?
So like when you were a kid, it was multiple sports. Like you came home from school, maybe you got some homework done, and then you had your extracurricular activities, and the expectation is that you were doing extracurricular activities pretty much every day.
I think kids are at least in one. I think it really honestly depends on the parents and the amount of flexibility that they have in their jobs and their schedule, or how much help they have from like grandparents to rely on to get the kids to and from places. I think that plays a big part, because if you just can't make it work, then you just can't make it work. But I think the families that have more help and more like flexibility just in their day-to-day schedule are in more things. But I think that otherwise, 2 days a week is all some families can manage, but they still do that because I think there's a lot of emphasis still put on just being in something like that.
Which is good, because you do need to learn like the team dynamic. You need to learn how to be part of a team.
And how to prioritize getting your work done 100%. And go somewhere else.
Yes, and also that you don't quit in the middle of a season, that you did make a commitment to this team and you don't just up and leave because you just decide you don't want to do it one day. But I also wonder, there's been very rightfully and thankfully so, a very big awareness of mental health, and our parents starting to understand that kids are burning out sooner than maybe we thought or would even recognize. When we had them going, go, 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 did we even recognize the signs and symptoms of burnout? And our parents recognizing that now. What's your thought on that?
I don't know. I've not really had to deal with that on a personal level, I think. So I think that I can't speak on that as much as I can speak on other things.
Do you think there's an awareness of it?
Of mental health? Yes.
And how having kids constantly on the go, how that could be affecting their mental health? Have you, in your, like, I have definitely, and maybe part of it is my job, but I've seen data and I've seen research being done on it. In your realm of existence, have you come across anything that makes you think that that's something that we're honed in on?
Yes. I think that parents are just more in tune and more sympathetic, sensitive to their children, and it's not just, well, this is what we said that we were going to do, so we're just going to do it. And I mean, I've had days like in job opportunity, like careers, jobs that I've had that I've been like, I wake up and I'm just not in it. And there has to be something where my husband's done the same thing. It's just, you've got to just put yourself first sometimes and just say, no one is going to benefit from me doing something that I am not in right now. I just cannot. I mentally can't get there. Now, if that's every day or if it's every week or if it's every month, that's a different story because you need to suck it up. But you can a couple of times be like,
yeah, that's definitely a generational thing because I agree. I agree it should be. I am not there. I don't know why, and I'm certain that I'm not the only person that feels this way. I know that place is not going to fall apart if I'm not there for a day. But there's just something, it doesn't matter. I just push myself. It doesn't matter how bad I'm feeling. I'm going.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll leave a little early. Of course, then by the time I get there, I get so wrapped up into things that I can't leave early. But no, that's a generational thing where I can't do that.
And I think too, I've been like, I'm just going to suck it up. I'm just going to go. And I mean, it's been a situation where I'm like, in the middle of the day, I'm like, why did I do this? No one's and then you start nitpicking everything, right? You start like, everybody just makes you mad and they're just going about their normal day. They're not doing anything wrong, but everybody's just making you mad. It's just, you're nitpicking everything. You have a terrible day. When if you were just in the morning, you were just like, you know what? I'm going to tap out. And then you have a great day. Everybody else has a great day. Everyone survives. Everything's good.
Yeah.
And then you're refreshed and you're ready for the next day. Whereas if you go in, you're forcing yourself, you're nitpicking. Then if that happens on a Monday, then you hate your life for the whole week.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, I should have stayed home, but I didn't. And now it's...
Yeah. That's one thing that I thought of when you were saying that is a good lesson in treating others with grace, compassion, and kindness. You never know what's going on with someone, where their headspace is on any given day.
Yes.
So as a general rule, even if somebody is horrible and what we would call here in the South ugly, if they're ugly to you one day, it's not you.
Right.
There's a reason that has nothing to do with you. Just give them their space, treat them with some grace, compassion, and kindness. I think that's a huge lesson that we need in today's world. But then also, do you apply that to school for kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I knew that was going to be your answer.
If my kids wake up one day and they're just like, Mom, I just don't. If she's in 3rd grade, okay, honey, let's stay home and cuddle.
Now, how about, we're veering off topic a bit here, but
we're veering off topic a lot.
We're going to bring it back to entertainment here. I'm going to bring it back to entertainment. Spring break. Let's say you've got spring break, and this probably isn't going to be you because, the whole teacher thing, your husband knows the schedule. But let's say there's a parent that says, well, spring break is this week, but I've got a trip booked for this following week. So we're going to go on spring break for the whole week. We're not going to school. They're going to miss 2 weeks of school. Do you change your trip? to align with the school spring break, or do they skip 2 weeks of school?
They're not skipping 2 weeks of school. One of them's out. One of them's out anyway. Everyone's skipping
All right, are
one.
they skipping a week of school?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I would have never done that.
I know.
I would have rebooked the trip.
Okay, I was like, I could have been throwing up, and she would have been like, but are you fine? I feel like you're fine. Get in the car.
There's a kernel of truth to that. I would not send you to school throwing up or with a fever.
Actively.
This is correct.
But if I throw up 2 hours before school, you're like, all right, well, it's been 2 hours.
But if you had a fever, it had to be 24. Like, I followed the rules of attendance. I am a rule follower. I followed
she was mad at me the whole time. Why are you in bed?
There's some facts to that.
Get up. Clean the house. What are you doing?
And speaking of entertainment on a sick day, she did not.
No.
She was in bed. She was in bed. No, you didn't have a TV in your room.
No,
you didn't have a TV in your room
laptop,
anyway, but
no DVD player.
She needed to sleep or read. She was sleeping or reading, and I was calling and getting her work from the teachers, and she was staying on top of her schoolwork.
Yep.
Yeah. No, there was none of this.
Meanwhile, my husband, who is a family of teachers, his parents were teachers, his brother's teacher, everybody's teachers, and they would let them miss school for a video game release. I mean, like, they could just stay home and play video games because a new video game that they played came out.
That's
funny.
And
they're teachers. And they're principal, like, they're, like, administrative positions.
That's funny.
They were like, yeah, it's fine.
That doesn't throw some perspective on it, I don't know what does.
Yeah. So I'm 100% on the side of let your kids stay home every now and then. It's fine.
Yeah. What else can we talk about with entertainment?
I think that kids are not outside enough. Yeah. And that's what I really wanted this to be like. We don't do screen time. We've already established that. I'm not saying when our kids aren't sick, we don't all snuggle up in our bed and, watch some cartoons or whatever. That's what we want to do when we're sick. So why would we not let our children do that? But no, our kids, my son gets upset when he's not able to go outside and our door is open. If our door is open, that means his body needs to be out that door and he needs to be playing in the grass. He is not happy if you tell him you can't put your shoes on. We're not going outside.
Yeah.
It does not go well. My daughter's the same way. Our kids are outside non-stop. When it's pouring down rain, as long as it's not lightning, they are jumping in muddy puddles, just like Peppa Pig. They are tumbling around. Tide is my best friend as a mother. I am constantly doing laundry. Yeah.
Oh.
Tide detergent.
Oh.
Yes.
It's like, who is Tide?
Tide. Tide detergent.
Okay.
Nothing else works on those stains. They are
hey,
dirty.
Tide, if you're listening.
Please. Tide Pods, cold water rinse, whatever you want me to say. My goodness. Anyway, no, they are always playing in something. We have a pool, we have a swing set, we have an outdoor building. No, our shop is huge. It's wired. They have swings in there that we can hang. They have like those electric cars that you sit in and they drive around the yard. They have we have fire pits. They love to go through the woods and collect. We live on a decent amount of land, so they go through the woods that we have and they collect sticks and things and put them in the beds of their little cars and drive them back to the fire pit, put them in the fire, and then Daddy lights it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you're very fortunate that you're able to stay at home with them. You live in a rural area where you do have a lot of space. You know it's safe.
Yes.
You know your neighbors.
Yes.
A lot of people don't have that same luxury.
So we have phenomenal neighbors, and we're very lucky to live where we do and to have just space for our kids to be as loud as they want. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody's going to be upset with us. Everybody has kids. Everybody's loud.
I think in an ideal world, I think it would be that way, that kids would be outside. Maybe not quite as much as I was when I was a kid, but it builds character, it builds imagination. I do think that it's important, and I don't think that kids are outside enough nowadays. I think that they're inside playing their video games, and that, in my opinion, seems to be, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, that seems to be the main form of entertainment for kids nowadays, is scrolling through their phones and playing video games. And I don't think it's as good for their mental health as being outside in the sun, figuring out how to use their imagination and turn a willow tree and ravine in the ground into a fort.
And being outside in the sunshine drains them. They sleep
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah.
They
Little
come in for
parenting tip.
naps.
Little
And
parenting tip
yes, they come in for naps and they hop in the shower and they're like, all right, good night, Mom. See you in a little bit. I'm like, yep, go to bed. And then they'll get their sleep, they'll recharge, and they'll be right back out.
Yeah. What else? Any other thoughts that you had on entertainment? I know you've always set a time limit, and we're past that time limit.
This was the big one. But this was easy to talk about.
Yeah.
This was great. And I do like seeing how you were raised, I was raised,
Yeah.
and now how, our kids are being raised. I like there's 3 generations right there for you. Normally you only get 2. You're welcome.
I am from the generation that, we drank out of garden hoses and we lived to tell about it.
We drink out of garden hoses all the time. That's well water, baby. That is some good water.
Well, it wasn't well water where I grew up.
Oh, it's well water in our house.
Well, I think it's more so the hose, right? Isn't it the hose that's toxic? I don't know. I just know that people are like, don't drink out of a garden hose.
We drink out of a garden hose.
I live to tell about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that kids should be outside more? Do you live in an area where that's not possible? If so, what do you do for entertainment with your kids? Tell us in the comments, like and subscribe, all the YouTube things. And until we see you next time,
go call your mom
or your daughter
and start your own conversation.
Bye. Everyone.